Hey, what's up, everyone? What's interesting about this particular update is how Adobe has taken some of the most requested features from the community and actually turned them into real working tools inside the app that are powerful without being overly complicated. And that's something you can definitely feel as soon as you open it up. What you get right off the bat with this version is a set of new adjustment layers that are genuinely useful, not just incremental tweaks. Photoshop has introduced clarity and dehaze as adjustment layers, which means for the first time you can control mid-tone contrast and atmospheric haze right inside your layer stack without flattening or destructively changing pixels. That's huge for photographers and landscape shooters because you can go back, mask it, stack it, or combine it with other adjustments, and it feels like everything just clicks together more cleanly now. This is something that photographers have been asking for years, moving those kinds of control elements out of Camera Raw and into the core Photoshop workflow. And along with that, you have a new grain adjustment layer that lets you add texture to your image in a way that's non-destructive and flexible. So instead of putting grain on and committing it or putting it in a smart object, you can now dial it in, mask it, blend it, and tweak it, just like you would with any other adjustment layer. That might seem small, but once you start pushing your images and working with texture and grit, it changes how you approach your final look. There's also been some smart work under the hood on the AI side of things. Photoshop's generative features have been updated to use the latest Firefly fill and expand models, which means your generative edits, whether you're filling in missing content or expanding your canvas, are more accurate and visually pleasing without you needing to stitch things together manually afterwards. And can you clear this? This is the part where the software starts to feel like it's not just a tool you control, but a partner you can lean on when you're brainstorming and building out ideas. And tied into that, the Remove tool has gotten an update as well, making it easier and faster to take out unwanted objects or people from a photo. I know so many of you spend time painstakingly removing distractions, and improvements here mean fewer manual fixes later. There's also a new reference image option for generative fill, which is great because now Photoshop can use that reference to help keep things consistent when matching objects or backgrounds. Instead of guesswork or trial and error, you can give it a visual guide to follow. But of course, with all updates, it's not just about what's new, it's about what's been addressed and polished too. This version includes a number of stability improvements and bug fixes drawn from earlier builds and earlier community feedback. For example, some issues that were causing tools or workflows to be less responsive have been smoothed out, so opening complex files or jumping between tools feels more fluid. Community members had reported certain tool crashes and performance hitches, and while not every one of those has a perfect fix yet, overall, this build reduces some of those hiccups as compared to older releases. That makes a noticeable difference when you're working on a tight timeline or juggling a large, multi-layered composition. Thinking about the overall picture here, this update feels like Adobe has listened carefully to what professionals and hobbyists alike have been saying, and then actually delivered tangible improvements. Features like adjustment layers for clarity and haze and grain control may not sound glamorous at first when you read them on paper, but once you start using them in context, they feel like they open up your creative process and let you experiment without fear of destroying your original image. It's one thing to have a tool, it's another to feel like that tool works for you, not against you. And that's something I think a lot of people will appreciate as they explore these new or refined features. On the AI side, the enhancements to generative tools and the smarter remove functionality are really opening up possibilities for compositing work, design experimentation, and just clearing up your images faster than you could before. These updates reduce the friction between idea and execution. And in the modern creative environment, that gap is everything. What used to take dozens of clicks and manual hacks can now be handled more intuitively, letting you keep your workflow moving and your creative momentum going. And I'll be honest with you, there are still reports out there about some hardware and GPU related issues, like occasional crashes with certain tools under specific conditions. And while this release doesn't solve every edge case, it has definitely stepped things forward compared to older builds. Those kinds of things tend to get tied up with specific hardware configurations, but overall the trend is towards smoother performance and fewer disruptive crashes. So if you're using Photoshop as part of your creative toolkit, this update is absolutely worth paying attention to. The new features provide more control over your images in ways that actually feel like they fit into your real-world workflow, not just check a feature box. And the improvements across AI and general stability make it feel more like a refined, capable piece of software you can depend on when you need it most. That's the heart of this update. Real tools that help your work feel more precise, more controlled, and ultimately more expressive, without forcing you to learn a brand new interface or change how you think about creating in Photoshop. That's it for this breakdown of the latest Photoshop update, and I hope this gives you a clearer sense of what's actually being rolled out and why it matters. Keep exploring your own projects, and you'll start to see how these tools can fit into your personal workflow in ways that make each edit feel just a bit more effortless and creatively satisfying. Thanks for hanging out and listening, and I'll see you in the next one.